Hello everyone and welcome to another very exciting tutorial. Today I'm going to finish the tutorial series that I started. So the idea is that you have a user interface where on an action, let's say submitting a form or running an application, this cool waiting indicator shows up, and in the case of success, let's say you got a success operation on your backend or your algorithm ran correctly, then when you click on it, this icon will show up, and if there was an error on the operation, these two circles will morph to this nice failure icon, right? So we actually went through creating the path that are needed for this tutorial. In the previous tutorial, I'm gonna put a link over here for you guys to go and check this out first. And then ultimately now I'm going to create the interactivity and connecting all the bits and pieces together. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do to get notified for the new cool tutorials. And let's just get started. So I added a class big for my bigger circle and small for the smaller circle over here, and then obviously a class for my success path and two for my error path that I have over here. And what I need to do, I'm going to go to JavaScript. I've already added, if you click on this icon, by the way, this is the code editor that I'm using all the time for my tutorials. So when you click on this gear icon over here, I have already added the library Moveit over here, which I'm using 0.4 version for now, which is the latest version. And Moveit is obviously used to animate these paths. So right now I am going to use vanilla JavaScript, no more jQuery in this tutorial. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a variable called big using document.query selector, passing the big. So I'm referencing all these paths in my JavaScript right now. I'm going to copy this, paste it over here, change it to small, and obviously here is small as well. Then I have my success, changing this to success, and I have two error path over here that I'm referencing like this. So error, and obviously error 2 over here. So we have big, small, success, error, and error. And these are the classes that I have assigned to these paths, and I referenced over here, right? So the next thing is we want to know what is the end state of our success icon and the failure icon, right? So as you can see, if I click on this, when you click on success, it morphs to this, and we want to know how can we get this from our success path. What I'm going to do is I am going to say success path new Moveit. I'm going to path the success variable here that references that path, and then I'll pass an object. Let's start by setting the start to maybe 60% and end to let's say 100%, right? So the problem though here is that I have to hide all of the other circles, maybe not the middle circle, so that I have a reference of where that ends up being. So I am going to actually initialize the Moveit for all of these circles. So let's say big path is new Moveit, then I'll pass big, and then I'll start 0% and end 0%, right? So the bigger circle is now gone because the start and end are 0, make it invisible. And then obviously for the error, I'm going to do Moveit error, and then I'm just going to copy and paste the start and end for this one, and also the same way I am copying this for my second error path, which is error 2, right? Just gonna name this path and this one path as well, right? So now we have a good reference right now. I just basically hit the big path, the error path 1, or the first error path, and the second error path, right? So you can see maybe I should go a little bit further in on my success path, maybe 64, right? Yeah, not bad. So I am going to add a comment here, basically mentioning the start and end of my end state for the success, removing these to 0 and 0. So this is not visible. Now we do the same thing for the error path as well. So let's put maybe 60 here and 100. Let's see how it looks. Okay, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe 96 and 65. Yeah, not bad. And the same way I'm gonna do this for this. Let's put 65, maybe, and 95. Well, this one needs to be a little bit bigger. You can see now it kind of matches here. And then the start will be maybe 75. That's big. 70. Yeah, not bad. And then on this one, on my first error path, I'm gonna make it maybe 95, 94. Yeah, it kind of looks okay. You can always play with your path. I have a tutorial on how to create this path. I'm gonna put the link over here if you're interested. You can kind of center this, but for now it's good enough. So now we have the start and end position of my error path as well. So this one start is 66% and 94%. Let's put it over here. And for the second path, I'm putting like 70% and 97%. The reason why I'm putting these in these comments is because later I can use these when I want to create my morphing. So with that said, I'm going to revert these back to 0%, 0%, and the same way 0%, 0%, right? Then ultimately I'll create the same Moveit for the small path. So small path, and then I'll put it small. Right now you can see that everything is hidden. These two you don't need to bother. It's because of the stroke line cap, which is round, but we will play with the visibility on these elements to hide them ultimately, right? Okay, so now we know what is the end state of our success path, these numbers, and also our error path. And basically, for those of you who don't know what exactly this means, is that it says that on the path that I have, which is success over here for now, I want the portion of the path to be visible from 0% to 0%, basically nothing. So if I change it to 10%, for example, or maybe 40%, you'll see that it shows the portion of the path on my success from 0 to 40% of its full length, right? So this actually comes over here. So this is 0 to 40%. All right, so now the part for our animation, right? I'm gonna create a function here called small circle animation, right? What I'm gonna do is that we've already created the small path over here, which represents the Moveit reference to that small path. I'm gonna say small path set, passing the duration of it, which is gonna be, let's say, 0.6, and then the start to be 20%, and end to be, let's say, 80%, right? So I've created a function that animates my path over 0.6 seconds to this state from 0 and 0. Now if I basically call this animation function here, you'll see what it does. right? So from 0, 0, it animates to 20% and 80% of its full length, right? And then what I want to do is that I am going to create a callback function, which means that after you animate it to this, I want it to be animated with the duration of 0.6 to be the start of 100% and end of 101%, right? So, though I made a mistake here, I need to actually write small path dot set, and then I need to pass those values, right? So you can see how cool it actually first from 0, 0 goes to 20 and 80% with the duration of 0.6, and then after that is finished, it actually starts another animation on my small path, which from 20 to 80% goes to 100 and 101%, right? You can see. And the reason why I put 101%, 101 here at the end, because I want to create a loop, and we will see it in a bit. So this is my small animation. So let's go for the big one. So I am going to create another function called big circle animation, right? Now I want to create the the animation for the big circle, right? So what I need to do is that I am going to say big path dot set, right? And then path is an object with a duration of 0.2 and then start of 15% and end of 25%, right? So if I run the big animation as well, big circle animation here, right? You will see that it should be start. You'll see that it animates from 0, 0 to 15 and 25. And after that, I'll create a function for the callback, which runs after this animation that I created here. And I will say big path dot set. And then I will say I want the start to be 75% and end to be bigger than actual 100%, which is 150%, right? And the duration to be 0.3, right? So you can see what happens here. It goes from 15 to 25% of the path to 75 and 150%, right? And then I have to create another callback function which does, let's say, big path dot set, and within that I will say start to be 70%, end to be 75%, and then duration to be 0.3 seconds, right? So you see the problem here. It actually goes from 15% to 25% to 75%, 150%, and then when it wants to follow to 70% and 75%, it actually reverts back. You see, we don't want that. We want this to continue. So we want this to continue the circle from 75% before to 70%, 75% after. In order to do that, since this value over here is more than 100%, which is the full path, we're going to pass a new key here called follow through, right? Because we want this animation to follow to the next iteration, right? So as you can see, it actually follows right now. And then ultimately, I am going to give it a final callback function here, which says I want the start to be 100% and end to be 101%, right? And the duration to be 0.4. If you add up all of these duration, 0.2, 0.3, 0.3, and 0.4, it actually ends up to 1.2, which is the same duration for the small circle animation, which is 0.6 plus 0.6, which is 1.2. you want to make sure that the timing on both of these are the same, right? Now, if I run it again, sorry, again, I made the same mistake. I'm going to do big path here, and then set, and then pass the object, right? So you can see that you have this cool animation over here. Now, if you want to make it a loop so that it infinitely runs this animation, at the end of each of these big circle animation or small circle animation, you can create a callback function at the end of the loop, right? So I'm going to take the big circle animation. I'm going to put callback and then pass it a function, and here I will run these two functions again. So big circle animation, and then I'm going to say small circle animation, right? So as you can see, it starts running the animation infinitely, but again, you will see that at some point things come back just because we haven't added the follow through for those values that are more than 100%, right? So if I add follow through to here, you see this one will be fixed, and then for my small circle as well, since I have more than 100%, I'm just going to add follow through, and now you'll see that we have this very cool sort of animation, right? So all is good right now. The next step is to add two buttons, error and success, to kind of morph these circles into success or error, right? So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is that I am going to go to my HTML and create two buttons. I'm not going to style it for the sake of time. So I'm going to create a button, just success, and then the same for error, and then I will give it a class just to reference it in my JavaScript. I'm going to say success btn, and then here I'm going to do class error btn, right? And when I'm going to my JavaScript, I'm going to do success btn to be document.query selector. I'll give it a success, and then the same way I'm going to do error btn, and this is obviously error btn. Sorry, this one is btn as well, right? Yes, these are btns. So now what I'm going to do is that I have to create two variables, let's say succeed and fail, right? And then set both of them to false. And these are the states. When I click on this button, I change the succeed to be true, and then based on the state of this, I'm going to run the success animation. The same way for the fail animation, right? And for now, what I'm going to do is I need to create the success animation and the fail animation first. And I've already captured the end state of them, right? So I'm starting with the success animation. So success animation. I know that my Moveit reference is over here. So success path dot set, and then I'll put the duration to be 0.4, for example. The start will be 64%, and then end will be 100%, right? So this is my success animation. Basically, it goes from 0% to 64 and 100%, which reveals our success icon over here, right? Now, what I need to do is that on the last callback, when I run the animations again, I put a check over here. I say if succeed equals to true. The same for my fail. If this is true, because I want to run the success and fail animation here, and then else I'm going to put these big and circle, which runs the animations, right? So literally what it says is that if the succeed was true, run the succeed animation. Otherwise, if fail was true, run the fail animation. Otherwise, run these two, which kind of creates the loop, right? And then I'm adding the event handler for the success. So I'm going up here, maybe here somewhere. Yeah, so I am going to say success btn dot add event listener. Of course, I want it to be click, and then on function, I pass a function. I change my succeed variable to be true, right? When I click on it, the succeed variable will become true, and since this animation is a loop, on the callback, it will start checking, oh, the succeed is true, run this animation instead of anything else. I'm going to do the same thing for the error btn. So I'm going to do error btn, and then I'm going to say the fail to be true. So what happens is that here in the last callback on my bigger circle animation, if success true, I'll say run the success animation, right? If fail is true, run the fail animation, right? Just going to check if I named them correctly. So success animation we've already created. I need to create the fail animation here. So fail animation, and then I have my error path that's set. Let's say the duration 0.4, and then I've already captured the values is 66% and 94%. So start to be 66% and end to be 94% over here. And then the same way I'll just copy and paste this for the second error path with the start of 70% and 97%, right? I'm going to change this to 70% and this is 97%, right? So now what happens is that if I click on this success button, it will morph to the success, and if I put on error, it will error. Let's see what happens. There you go. And then if I run the animation again, if I click on the error, it should morph to my error. As you can see, we have a little bit of things over here visible because of the line cap over here. What we need to do is actually very easy. When you click on the success animation, you want the basically the big path style visibility to be hidden, right? The same way for the small path, right? So if I click on success right now, there's a problem here. Let's see what's the problem. Big path, small path. If I wrote them correctly here, so we have big path and a small path. Makes sense. So no, not big path. Sorry, big and small, because those are the reference to our path, right? So if I press success, you'll see that it ends up here. But also you can see that we have the cancel or failure path as well, a little bit show up here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a reset function reset, right? And I will set the visibility of everything to be false. So I'm going to say success dot style dot visibility to be hidden. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say error dot style dot visibility and error 2 dot style, and then I basically run that function. So reset, right? So now you will see that nothing is visible over here. But then since I hit these values, when I click on success, I want to make sure that the success dot style dot visibility is visible, and the same thing should go for the failure, right? So here I have my error and error 2 to be visible, and then big and small to be hidden as well. Now if I click on success, you'll see that it very cleanly goes to that error, and if I click on error, it goes to this step. Alright, so it was a bit of an advanced tutorial. I'll put the link to this tutorial in the description of the video, and just go ahead, ask your questions, whatever questions you have. I'll definitely answer that. If you like this tutorial, please go ahead and like this tutorial and share this tutorial as much as you can to help me continue contributing like this to the community and you guys, to teach you what I learned so far during my last 10 years of learning these cool stuff in front-end and UI development. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I wish you a very good day and night. Goodbye.